This is Motivational 101 or Motivation 101, your weekly reminder that greatness is one choice, one action, and one moment of courage at a time. Well, I have a new co-host for Motivation 101. I did not introduce you last time, but Miss Jackie is my co-host for seven podcasts. Imagine seven podcasts every Saturday. We're doing Happy Motivation 101, Bible verses 101, Coaching 101, and Starting Event. Every Friday, we're doing our AI 101, Tech 101, and of course, Mysteries Stories 101.
You got it.
Did I do correct?
You got it. Woohoo.
Yeah, so Miss Jackie, can you please introduce more about yourself for our second
Sure.
episode?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially for the listeners and viewers that love this episode or listen to this one a lot, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I've been in education, higher education specifically for about 20 years, different areas, working in admissions. I've worked in enrollment, and now I work in curriculum development, and I've been as working as an instructional designer doing different areas like corporate and higher education for about 15 years. So I thought I was going to go into business and do marketing, and then pivoted, went into education. But it's helped. The business has really helped in this area, right? With podcasting and all that stuff, marketing. Yeah. None of that went to waste. It was all a good thing. So I really enjoy working on curriculum and helping people to make career changes and level up where they're at. And to get that extra education that they need to do it. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Yes, now we are leveling up with Miss Jackie because we're doing podcasting all the time, every week. So imagine people, the load, we are doing seven podcasts plus what? We have a different shows too as well. Miss Jackie doing education or teaching other students. Well, that's imaginable. We need a motivation for doing that, don't you think, Miss Jackie?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, because if you're not motivated to do those things, you won't finish it. I have to motivate my students all the time, right? Because burnout is real. Yeah. Especially if you're going to school and you're working and you've got a family. Yeah. It can be hard to go to school and do that. And it's not easy. I've done it before. So I think that's where my empathy comes in for my students because I understand things happen, life happens. So I have grace towards my students, but at the same time, I don't let them walk all over me either. So I make sure to balance that out really well. But motivating them, yeah, that takes some skills to be able to do that. Absolutely.
Skills indeed. And our
Hmm.
topic for today, Miss Jackie, from fear to forward.
Yes. Yeah, I look at it as we can't move forward. We can't wait for fear to disappear before we make progress, right? We have to sometimes, as they say, just bite the bullet, right? Bite the
Yeah,
bullet and just move forward because fear can paralyze you, right? Yeah, if you have a lack of motivation and things like that, what we were talking about in the last one with coaching, if you have a lack of confidence, right, that can hinder your progress. So I think it's important to be able to be able to move forward because the fear won't always completely disappear. It may still be there, but don't let that stop you. Don't let it paralyze you.
I think, Miss Jackie, next time let's do motivation first and then coaching because what you will learning from motivation 101 you can teach to coaching. Don't you
Mm.
think?
I think so. Yeah, I think some of what we talked about just now with coaching, yeah, I think that can really feed into this one. Yeah, they go hand
Because
in hand, right? And then the Bible verses 101 can also help with any of them too. So, yeah, so they all can relate
okay.
to each other. Yep.
So the sequence must be Bible verses 101, then motivation 101, then coaching 101 because they are aligned to each other.
That's good. I like that.
Yes. So people common fear that holds people back is the fear of not being good enough, especially when stepping into something visible or high stakes. The underlying stories about sounds like I'm not ready yet, or others more qualified, or I try and fail, or I will prove I don't belong. Those are the
Mm,
questions that most people ask themselves to procrastinate and feed forward.
that's true. Yes, absolutely.
So, Miss Jackie, when this fear first began, and how has it shaped your decision since then?
Mm. Yes, for me, fear can show up in different ways. It can show up and I think a lot of people can relate to this. It can show up as procrastination, also perfectionism. So if I want something to be perfect, that's usually my fear um, kicking into that. And sometimes too, I overthink something. So if
True.
I'm trying to do something, move towards something or take action, sometimes I overthink it and I go, well, what if this? The what ifs come up, right? Or I just plain avoid it altogether. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do that. But that doesn't help you move forward. So, yeah, but I would say those are all things that I can look back on and go, oh, yeah, I've done all that for sure. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
True. I
Yes.
myself have this overthinking, but I do oppose with I will take the risk. I always do that. I told myself, how about if I do this? How about I will fail? How about if the scenario is like this? And then
Mm.
my defense mechanism is I will take the risk. And the risk is worthwhile. Just like taking Miss Jackie to my seventh podcast. I will take the risk that I will give confidence to Miss Jackie that we can handle this seven podcast. And thank God that risk is working because Miss Jackie is always, well, we're doing every episode every week, which is that is consistency. And I'm very grateful for that. Thank God. I always say thank God. I
Yes.
found the right perfect co-host as well as Miss Karen and the rest of my co-hosts. It's hard to find a co-host which is dedicated every single week, right,
That
Miss
is true.
Jackie?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It takes dedication, it takes determination. Yes. And I think people have it. They have it deep down inside of them. They just have to bring it to the surface, right? So, yeah, I think it comes back to the why. Why are we doing the thing that we're doing, right? Yeah. And if you don't have that clear why, then yeah, all these different things will creep in. The fear will creep in, the uncertainty will creep in. Yeah. So, yep. So I think we have to go back to the why of what we're doing.
Why and why? So, what is the worst case scenario you imagine, and how likely is it really? I like this question. Really?
Yes. Yeah. So I think one thing it doesn't seem like it at the time, but sometimes we want to stay in that safe zone, right? When things are familiar. But when we do that, it's not always going to be fulfilling for us because when we stay in the safe zone and we put those buffers up around us, right, and uh those safe zones, yeah, that's not where the growth happens. That's not where we're going to learn the most. We learn through those challenging times, right? More than
Yes.
we learn through the times that are safe and good, right? But those things that are challenging, if we get past those, then can you imagine the pinnacle that will we reach, right? So
Mhm.
what I think of is this is something that I was taught early on in school, and it's something that we've actually done it in professional development. So you're familiar with Maslow's, right? The hierarchy of needs, where you have the lower and then you have the higher, right? And the self
Yes.
actualization. Yeah. So I think that's something too that we have to move towards is just stepping up, yeah, and going towards that self-actualization. So that, I think that helps us move from the fear to the forward as well.
People, if you want to learn something, go beyond your comfort zone. Because if you're always in your comfort zone, you will not learn something. As Miss Jackie saying, if you are in a high pressure or public, well, failure, rejection, or being exposed as not good enough, those are the times that you will learn something. Except,
Right.
except if you compare comfort zone, our sun and the earth, there's a Goldilocks zone that gave us life. That's exemption. They said, in every rule there's an exemption. We should
Mm-hmm.
go beyond our planet's the comfort zone. You will be what? You will die.
Right.
So it depends, people, as we are saying here. Not every go beyond your Goldilocks zone is good. There's a pros and cons. So, Miss Jackie, how would you attempt right now if the fear was no longer a factor?
Mm. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think if fear was no longer a factor, wow. I think I would probably just I would be more bold about things. I think
Well,
I would not hesitate, right? I would just do that thing, whatever it is I need to do, and not hesitate. So and just take action, right? And not think so much. And that overthinking wouldn't take over, right? Yeah. For me that's what it would be. Just I would just do it without
do it.
thinking.
Yes,
Hmm.
definitely. The scenario people often imagine is, while failing publicly, being judged, and losing credibility. It's a situation where a mistake feels like define who they are. That's so sad, but most people like that. But internal the story usually escalate this into something permanent, such as I'll fail. People will stop talking to me seriously. Or
Mm.
this will ruin my chances moving forward. Those are the questions that most people have in their mind,
Right.
which is not not a good sign that you will be successful in life. Let go of those and do something good. As we saying on Bible verses 101, do the rest and God will do the rest. Is that
Mm.
correct? I mean, it's
Yeah.
true. Can you see
Yes.
something? Yes. I told you, Miss Jackie, it's correlated, right? Bible verses 101, motivation 101, and coaching 101. They goes together.
They are.
So
They go together. Absolutely. Yep.
those
Yes.
are the scenarios. So how small step can you take today to do that moves you forward despite feeling afraid?
Yes. I think that's so important to, yeah, to take, if you have a big change that's coming, right? Break it up into smaller moves, break it up into smaller goals instead. I teach this to my students all the time. And this is actually something that, that's in education, right? When we're training somebody, we don't just throw everything at them at once and say, here, you've got to learn this all at one time. No, we break it into smaller bite-sized chunks that, like you said, you can't eat the elephant all at once. You got to eat it in bites, right?
Mhm.
So break it up if you feel like you're overwhelmed and the fear is creeping in. Yeah, break it up into smaller goals, and then just set those goals and say, okay, now I can do this, and yeah, and then move forward. So what's interesting too, Daniel, is this is something that's in my notes, that not every fear is a warning sign. Sometimes it is simply a sign that growth is involved. That's true, because I think we mistaken fear for that, for like, oh no, warning, red lights go off, right? But actually it's I think sometimes it is a sign of growth, when that comes up. But recognize it for what it is. Yeah, and try not to, I would say too, try not to give the fear too much power, because fear can can paralyze, like I said earlier, it can paralyze you, and it can take away some of your power. You have the power, so don't let the fear give you that power.
True. And fear is something, a defense mechanism of your brain. Let's say, okay, you're afraid to jump in high water.
Mm.
Yeah, that's your defense mechanism of your brain. Stop doing it because you will die if you just jump with no precaution. Right? In every rule, there's an exception. As we're saying, uh, go out your comfort zone. But for the planet, if you go outside the comfort zone, we all die. So in every rule, there's an exemption, people, and it's up to you to take that precaution. If it's meant for you, go for it. If it's not, well, your brain is always there to protect you. So, Miss Jackie, has or how has fear protected in the past, as we're talking about, and where it now limiting your growth?
Mm. Yes. Yeah, I think when I didn't recognize, at least for me, when I didn't recognize the fear for what it was, and as I mentioned just a moment ago, when I gave it too much power, that's when it was paralyzing for me. So I think after those few experiences that I had, I recognized what I needed to do, and that was just put fear in its place, right, and say, nope, that's the place where you belong. And so yeah, I think just having that confidence and being motivated to say that's okay, yeah, yeah. So
It's
because I think if you're waiting to feel ready, it never the readiness will never come. You just have to sometimes just go for it, right?
go for it and do it. Fear has like
Yes.
protected you in the past by having a risk management system, keeping you alert to danger, helping you avoid poor decisions, and pushing you to prepare more thoroughly before acting. So sometimes fear is good as well, not always bad.
Right.
So as we're saying, it's up to you to determine if it's that fear is good for you or the fear is bad for you, which is it serve you as a defense mechanism. So how do you typically respond to fear, Miss Jackie? Avoidance, overthinking, or action? And how is that serving you?
Mm. Yeah, I think for me, fear can be overthinking. You and I both have that in common. And I think
Mhm.
avoidance too. I think I'll tend to do that. Yeah. And I notice that it's very paralyzing for me. So I have to make sure that I recognize it. And I think what I can do sometimes is if it's something that I know someone else, if I'm working with someone else on a particular project or something like that, or there's a certain situation, I think it's important to talk to that individual about it, and not just feel like you have to do it yourself, right? So it's okay to ask for help, right? We've talked about that before. So I think that's important too. And that can help you move past that fear as well.
Certainly. Well said, Miss Jackie. Avoidance, overthinking, or action, and it produces a very different outcome. Avoidance feel like relief in the short term, but reinforce the belief that situation is too threatening to handle, which gradually reduces confidence and limits opportunities, while overthinking creates the illusion of control, yet often leads to analysis paralysis. That's so, Ms. Zaki, what evidence do you already have do you are capable of handling difficult situations?
Hmm. Well, I think the evidence that you can look at what you've accomplished. I think for me, I look at what I've accomplished with the work I've done, and look back on those moments, right? Look back on
Yeah.
those milestones, right? So, like for example, I just surpassed my 12-year work anniversary at work. So, wow, that's the longest I've been anywhere at any company. So yeah, I would say those little moments, those milestones like that, celebrate them, and share it with others. So I think that helps motivate you too when you know, oh wow, I've been at a company for 12 years with their, serving them. And so yeah, so it's helped me grow. And then I've been teaching for 5 years now. Yeah, so it's just look at those things and say, wow, I've done this for this long. And just look at all the accomplishments that you've been able to do along the way. So yeah.
Definitely. Well, moment where you face challenges, adapt and move forward despite of uncertainty. This time includes that you solve problems under pressure, learn something new quickly, or handle responsibility as you initially doubted, or recover from setbacks that once feeling overwhelming. Those are the evidence that you are capable of something else. So go for it, give the fullest, and build your legacy to the world. So, Miss Jackie, to wrap up our discussion for today, what does moving forward look like for you in practical, immediate terms?
Hmm. Yes. I think for me, it's finding those little moments, right, where I know I've accomplished something, and every time, if say there's a big goal that you want to accomplish, right, um, every milestone that you reach, celebrate it because that will keep you motivated day in and day out.
Definitely, partner. So, people get motivated in everything you do because it's something that will help you from your work, from your projects, or anything that you are doing right now. And remember, motivation is something come within. And we are saying here on Motivation 101, keep up the good work, keep something that motivate you, because as we said, motivation is something that will puff through your brain, and after 1 hour it's gone. And how to maintain this motivation, it's up to you. And Miss Jackie, how would you wrap up our discussion today?
Yes, I think one thing is to make sure that you, as I mentioned before, don't let fear overtake you. Make sure that you are putting fear in its place and that it has its proper place, right? Fear can be a motivator, right? But don't let it overtake you. So I would say just have the confidence and know that you can do what you set your mind to.
Yes, definitely. People moving forward is not about eliminating fear, about changing your relationship with it. Fear may be sign or signal of risk, but does not define your capability or determine your outcome. So keep your motivation afloat. Keep your motivation in class. So, Miss Jackie, would you like to plug in something?
Sure. Thank you. I have my podcast called Designing with Love. It's an educational podcast, and I talk about many things, even motivation, too. There's motivation sprinkled in there. So feel free to listen to that wherever you listen to your podcast if you want to learn more about the work I do every day. Appreciate it.
Yes, people, let's about Miss Jackie Pellegrini, because if you support her for sure more and more motivational episodes of the podcast itself. So, Miss Jackie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for joining us and keep learning.
Monica people.